Good morning, everybody. I am liking these early morning weekend, grab your coffee before you get the day going chats we're having. Let's see who's in here. Hopefully, my audio is okay. Again, like yesterday, I didn't test it before. I'm a bit rusty. Last week we had a hella snow. Not snow. See, that's how bad off I am. Ice. We had like a quarter of an inch of ice. Power lines, Wi-Fi, water, the things that we like weren't working properly. It really sucked. Let's see who's in here. Texas Tiffany, I have a feeling you got it too. Tamara said loud and clear, like it. Hello, Lou. Lou said, let's go. That's right. Let's get on with it. That was some depressing music, even though this is, every show's depressing when you think, every show is. Doesn't mean we have to have depressing music. I need to change that. That kind of brought me down a little bit. Just me said in the 50s this week in Missouri. Okay, I heard that the China balloon went over Missouri yesterday. I didn't think it stood a snowball's chance in Cuba there, but the China balloon got shot down. I think Snazzy told me about that. Christine told me about it. Hello, Peanut. Hello, Heather Ann. Tiffany, I see new names in here too. Please hit the sub button. Consider becoming a member. Also see some names I haven't seen in a while. Kelly Miller. How did you survive the ice, Kelly? Just Me said, don't get me started. Let's not piss off Just Me this morning. Hello, Pointer Lover. Big T, what's up? KCK, hello. I know Tiffany got the ice. We were going back and forth. At one point, I had a Facebook Messenger conversation going on with Tiffany, and then I was texting her. She had to have been all kinds of confused. Like, what is Brooks doing? Drinking with the ice storm? She doesn't even know what platform we're using to communicate. Let's see who else. JTB's in here. Now, we know what JTB and I are going to be doing next Sunday. Like all of you, getting our food on and getting ready for the Super Bowl. How many of you take off the day after Super Bowl? I know some people, it's a must. It's a must between the gambling, the drinking, the overeating. It's a Monday. People do not want to drag their ass out of bed and go to work. Smonday they call it. Hello, Sonia Allen. Alibi made it in. There's Snazzy. I just mentioned her. Hello, Dina Lynn. All right, let's get to it. Let me tell you. Oh, Rexy said she doesn't watch it. Well, then I'm going to be bothering Rexy all next Sunday with scores, injuries, what pisses me off, commercials, the whole 9 yards. She's going to get a play-by-play from me. We're going to recruit Rexy. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to make Rexy a Crime Lines and Lies Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl t-shirt. A lot of people have been asking about merchandise, and they're like, how come you don't have a tab on your channel? Well, for one, YouTube hates me. Two, it has to be connected to the store, and I'm the store, and they don't recognize me. So go figure. Sexy Grandma said, go Chiefs. That's right. Alex is in here. Alex had a live yesterday about Little Summer Wells. I went in there and said hi to her. Super nice people, super nice mods. A lot like here. It was a very nice change from some of the damn dumpster fires I've been in before. God, I back out quick. Barbara Hall said, go Chiefs. I'm liking this. Yes, Amanda, having an awesome morning. The sun shines out. The ice is melted, so I can't really bitch today. I really can't. Not yet. Depends on, I'm watching the chat. There's a few people that can come in and change that real freaking quick. So we had a show about Lindsay last Sunday. It was actually very inspiring. A lot of really deep conversation. It's hard to inspire me, but you guys did it. Definitely. This is one of these things, man. I'm telling you, the true crime community is like split in half, man. We're right down the middle. There's people saying, look, I've had postpartum, and guess what? My kids are alive. Put her in jail, throw away the key. Then you have people going, hang on now, hang on. I've been through it, and it's bad stuff. It's bad stuff. Jessie Lynn said this case is not the same. I'm going to play the 911 call. I did not edit any of it out. One, I do not have tight editing skills. You all know it. You've seen my videos. Two, I don't want to cut out anything important. And also, I don't want to put an already edited 911 call out. Okay? Because they cut out things that they don't want the public to know. And they cut out her husband talking. I imagine that is pretty traumatic. Pretty traumatic. Toots, you're my favorite also. So let's get to the comments. As of right now, where are we? Because a lot of stuff is coming out with Lindsay's case. Let me tell you what. I don't think her and her husband are going to stay together from what I'm seeing. Lindsay's mom is her healthcare proxy now, not Patrick. He's sticking by her side as far as just being a good guy, from what I'm understanding. Now, his GoFundMe has raised over $1 million. It does mention in the description, because that money, it's raining. It's raining in that GoFundMe. Damn. It mentions in the description for legal fees. She's gonna need it. And the attorney that she got, Kevin Reddington, not the lead character from The Blacklist on NBC, but he's an attorney in Massachusetts. Not only is he one of the best defense attorneys in Massachusetts, he's one of the best in the country. He has lost some. Don't get me wrong. He has lost some. But he's good. He's real good. I have a feeling he's going to be taking a huge ass chunk of that GoFundMe money. Big chunk. Big chunk. Let's see. Southern Grammy Wolf said we have to quit making excuses for killing kids. Sorry. Nope. And you're 100% right. Don't get it skewed. She killed her children. The question we have here is, what's the punishment considering her illness? Don't get it skewed. I guess that's my phrase of the day. The jails are full of mentally ill people. The jails are full of childhood trauma. The jails are full of children that had, of adults, sorry, that had horrible childhoods. They're full. The institutions are also full of people that don't need to be in jail for another reason. That's what we're discussing here right now. And of course, then we'll discuss other things. What should the punishment be? Andrea Yates is still in an institution. Now, she comes up for parole every year, but she seems to skip that hearing and she stays in the hospital. Alex said this is so very different from what someone like Leilani did, I think. Think about Leilani covering her tracks and stuff. You read my mind. I have a comment about that. Actually, I'll get to the comments right now. Southern Grammy is blowing up the comments. Said some of us who have been through shit don't kill our kids. Absolutely. No excuse for killing the kids. You're not going to hear that here. Punishment, the punishment has to fit the crime. That's where I am right now. Let's look at the comments and then we're going to get to it. We're going to get to it. Don't you worry. Also, I'm going to put this up real quick. If you want to jot down that number. This isn't our normal show that we do. And I don't want anybody to leave this show with any bad thoughts. Also, don't forget, I am nowhere near close to being a doctor, you will get zero medical advice here, not even an opinion. My only opinion when it comes to these things is see your doctor, call a lawyer. Sarah Ann, let me get my glasses on top of my head. And of course, they've got hairspray on them. Sarah Ann said it's sick. And mothers are seriously saying this is okay. Just wow. She's a rich suburban mom, and wow, she's innocent. I haven't seen, now maybe I haven't dug around enough. I haven't seen anyone say she's innocent. I have seen, well, people saying, lock her up, throw away the key. And I've seen people saying, this is different. Psychosis is different. Psychosis after having a baby is not new. This has gone on centuries. This isn't about food. This is flat out chemistry in the body. So yes, a lot of people say this isn't a they don't use the death penalty in Massachusetts. If they did, and I don't care if they do or not, put someone in jail for life, make them sit there. A lot of people say this is not a hard time 23 hours a day in a cell crime. This is an institutional crime. This is put her in a mental hospital. Savage Does True Crime said this woman, along with her punishment, should be forced to have a hysterectomy so there is no chance she can ever get pregnant again. Safe to say she won't have a chance of ever getting pregnant by Patrick. It seems to me that the sheets are split. Like I said, he seems to be sticking by her as a good guy, but as far as anything else, I think that cannot be repaired. Like I said, from what I understand, her mother is her healthcare proxy now. He's out of that too. Savage Does True Crime went on to say, my aunt dealt with postpartum with both her girls, and I raised them for the first year because she was having thoughts of how she could kill them. Damn. She realized they were not safe in her care, signed them over to me, and entered a psychiatric hospital. Then once released, she did outpatient counseling 3 days a week. Safe to say, that was a good plan. Dolly Mama said, I don't see how she's any different than Leilani except social status. Brooks, once again, your hypocrisy makes me fall down. I don't want you to fall down, Dolly Mama. No, this is not about social status for me. I can't speak for everybody else. Leilani Simon, if you have followed that, we have heavily covered that on this channel. Leilani beat Quentin with an object. Leilani told the babysitter, I believe she's the one that did it, not to show up. She didn't need the babysitter that day. Leilani put Quentin in a dumpster. She drove down to a trailer park that she got evicted from one time, and she put him in a dumpster. She made sure the dumpster picked up Quentin's body. She went back home, said, I can't find Quentin. They get a hold of the babysitter who comes down there, gets them to call 911 because she didn't want to call 911. She wasn't looking for Quentin. She knew where Quentin was. She blamed Bubba, who was Quentin's biological father. During interrogation, she blamed Danny, her current, or at the time, baby daddy. She orchestrated many lies. Hence why we call her Leilani or Lilazy. She orchestrated many lies in order to cover up what she did. Lindsay, after what she did, which is horrible, she threw herself out of a second-story window. She didn't make any excuses. She didn't say, well, like in the Letitia Staunch case, she didn't say Eduardo came in and did it. Letitia's another one. Letitia said, oh, I think Gannon ran away. She put Gannon's body after murdering him, after she tried to hide it different places, into a suitcase and dumped him out in Florida on her way to South Carolina. That's not postpartum. Psychosis, she threw herself out a second-story window. Rumor is she's paralyzed. Again, that's a rumor. Her attorney will not say either way if she's paralyzed. As of Friday, from my understanding, she still doesn't know what's going on. Okay? That's just what I heard. All right. Another comment, and I'm not going to say the name because it looks to me that they use their real name. First, middle, and last. Don't do that. Okay, it says, after my baby, I was on a pink cloud. Very happy. I was on a pink cloud and thought these women were making this up or just lazy. Then 6 months after birth, depression sunk in. I had erratic behavior that I didn't notice. My mother-in-law flew in and stayed with us 24/7. I shudder now to think, what if she hadn't? That really got me. I have chills. She says, I shudder now to think what would have happened with my erratic behavior that set in 6 months after delivery if my mother-in-law hadn't come and watched me 24/7. Wow. Imagine. On one hand, I think about erratic behavior that you don't notice yourself, to where a family member has to come and watch you. You're an adult. You shudder to think, God, what I could have been Lindsay. I could have been Andrea Yates. Then I shudder at my mother-in-law staying with me 24/7. But you know how I am with my mother-in-law. All right, the link is pinned. Don't be shy. I'm going to go through the 911 call first. Then we're going to break it down kind of bass-ackward, if you know what I mean. So let's listen to the 911 call. Don't think you've lost me. There are gaps in the call where they're cutting out Patrick, I believe.
Engine 2's on. Quick fire dispatch engine 2, car 3A14747 Summers Street, respond with the police. The whole party jumped off the top floor of the house. She sliced her wrist as well, and neck injuries, neck laceration. She's conscious at this time. We're going to check with med flight. It was over a 20-foot fall, 1814.
Like I said, there's gaps in this, so they said she had an over 20-foot fall.
File on car 3. Car 3. Car 3. And police are responding. Just use caution. She did use a knife at first. Unknown where that is at this time. Have the update. Thank you.
They said she used a knife at first. They don't know where the knife's at. And it was rumored that she had lacerations on her neck and arms.
Units responding, go to the backyard. She's going to be located in the backyard. We have her. She's in the backyard.
Thank you, Jay. Jay said she is still in ICU unconscious. Thank you, Jay. Another gap, which gives me chills because you can just imagine what they're hearing on the other end. It's not every day someone throws himself out a second-story window after they used a knife on themselves. And not to make
Fire alarm 2, car 3. The ETA from that flight, all their units are tied up. If needed, UMass can be called. It'd be a 35-minute ETA. Is he looking? Well, I'm going to show car 3 and A1 on scene. Full come in. Car 3, A1 on location. 4-4 is command at 1816.
Jay said she got a lot done in 25 minutes. She damn sure did. God. Try to imagine what was going through her mind. I don't think she even knows. I don't think she knows.
Fire alarm. Come in. Fire alarm's on. Put a box alarm in. I need a second ambulance to the scene. Receive, go to the basement, Cap. Go down. Cap, go to the basement. Yeah. Two possible suicides. Box alarm for coverage, and I need a mutual aid ambulance to the scene. I need a second ambulance to the scene. Receive, go to the basement, Cap. Go down. Go to the basement. Yeah. Two possible suicides. Box alarm for coverage, and I need a mutual aid ambulance to the scene. Receive, you have the message. Go to the basement. Dog spray fire, strike in the box. Dog spray fire, strike in the box. Second ambulance request. It's 4747 Summer Street. 1818.
When they say go to the basement, I lost it. I hope these first responders take care of themselves too.
Fire alarm status, mutual aid ambulance.
Got him on the way. We're with the county.
I got two pediatric arrests in the basement.
Violem has the 2 pediatrics arrests. We got a mutual aid on the way. We're going to get you 2 mutual aid at this time.
4-0's on the air responding.
Taxi 4-0. Fire alarm, Summer Street, come in. Sir in command.
Need a 30 ambulance to the scene. 30 ambulance to the scene.
Steve, I'm going to get all 3 mutual aid at this time.
On Summer Street, come here. One update.
I'm getting you 3 mutual aid ambulances, Cap. I struck the box. We got 3 on the way.
Okay, I got 1 here. I got 4 patients total.
Total, I got it.
I can't imagine what the first responders were going through when they realized, oh,
File on to command. I have Marshfield, Kingston, and Pembroke on the way with ambulances.
imagine when they realized they didn't need just one ambulance.
Duxbury Fire Line paging the deputy per the request 4-0. Duxbury Line paging the deputy per the request 4-0 at 1822.
Duxbury, Fire Kingston A2.
Answering Kingston A2.
Responding, Summer Street.
Kingston A2, you're on responding. Thank you. 47 Summer Street.
Yeah, can you get one of the other cops down here to help with compression so we can do some other stuff? Pembroke A3, Duxbury Fire Alarm. We're on responding to Summer Street as well.
Pembroke A3, you're on responding 1823. 47 Summer Street.
Okay, that's a lot to take in. They get there, 20 feet was the fall, saying that lightly. They can't find the knife, but they know there's a knife because she has lacerations on her. Then you hear about the basement. They realize they need more ambulances. It is, it's horrific. It is horrific. I saw some comments, you know, why did he leave her if she was like this? From what I'm understanding, he had no, I mean, she wasn't out of her mind acting crazy. She wasn't doing anything that made him, he's not a professional. I don't know that he was told by her doctor to never leave her alone. From what I'm understanding, he had to go to CVS. I'm understanding CVS now and pick up food. All in all, he was gone about 25 minutes. Sees her in the yard, calls 911. Now there's people wanting to know why it took him 4 minutes to call 911. I don't know where they're getting 4 minutes. I mean, how do they know when he pulled in the driveway to when he called? Now, I mean, I get it in another case where we're asking, why did it take 8 hours to call 911? Or in another case where we're like, why did it take 3.5, 4 hours to call 911? Your child is missing. But in this case, even if it's a 4 solid minutes, you know, by the time you're getting out of the car and you realize there's somebody in your yard, and then you realize who's in your yard is your wife, then that's a little different story. Liza says CVS brings you anything you need in food the same. My CVS does not deliver, Liza. They do not. And as far as food, sometimes we want to go pick up our own food. Sometimes it's 2 hours before you're going to get your food. So that depends. I got 2 people backstage. Let's bring Jay up first because she lives in the area. Hey, Jay, what a treat.
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good. Let me ask you this first because you live in the area, don't want your address or anything.
Yes.
What is the community? What are the locals saying?
Well, it's really split. And a lot of it I find a lot of people are talking more about it on like Facebook
Mhm.
and instead of or like kind of privately one-on-one, because it's almost like you don't know how people are going to react towards you with how you feel. It's a tricky situation.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Are you there? I think she cut out. She'll have to reconnect.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, okay. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've never done this before, so I'm a little nervous.
Oh, no, this is the best community on YouTube. Trust me. There's
Yeah.
some, if they say grab the link, I'd be like, don't do it, Jay.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
I've been following you, and I really like this community.
Oh, awesome people.
But I feel like I shared a few things in the feed, and those are the things that I know from, people that are connected to the family in one way or another. And, my biggest thing is, like I stated, is in 25 minutes,
25 minutes. Mhm.
all that took place. And, for the husband to leave, obviously everything seemed fine, because I heard that he was, really. You still there?
Yeah, you cut out just
Okay.
a little bit.
Okay. That, he was very much sticking close to home
Mhm.
to like support her and everything. And, I also know that I did not know that they were in the basement, but the babies were hung.
Could you imagine?
No,
How could that happen?
I
Now, let
don't
me tell
know.
you, going into psychosis, it's like you've heard about, women and men and their adrenaline kicks in. I heard a
Yes.
story a long, long, long time ago. I thought it was an urban legend. It's a true story. How a car had rolled over on her child and she lifted the car. She got
Yes.
the car off the child. That's
Yeah.
the only thing that I can think of. That her psychosis, this adrenaline kicks
Yes.
in, and
I,
she
the human brain, though, like the chemistry and your body and hormones. I mean, I've never experienced postpartum myself. I
Mhm.
mean, I experienced, being tired and just sometimes a little cranky and, my hormones adjusting and all that kind of stuff. But what is that case with that other woman that drowned her 4 babies?
Andrea Yates.
Yes, Andrea Yates, and didn't they claim psychosis, postpartum psychosis?
Yeah, she's still in an institution.
Yeah,
They were, I mean, it was kind of when it happened, this was like in 2001. I'd have to look.
yeah,
And it was I mean, everybody's heard of the baby blues, they've heard of postpartum
right,
depression, but the
right,
psychosis talk wasn't anything that you heard about on the Today Show.
right,
And
right.
her attorney, because they were talking they were talking about, the death penalty. And her attorney, he got the right people together and said, this is totally different. She's been in an institution ever since.
Yes, she has. She has. Yeah, so I just don't know, but the community there's such a different feel in the community.
Well, it's
It's
horrific. I
it's
mean, 3
it's
babies
horrific.
horrific. I mean, 3 babies are killed.
Yeah, and to drive by that house, like, it's just, I'm not sure if he is still there. I have a feeling that he is, but I'm just so happy about the GoFundMe, how the community is, pulling together to help him out. And the other thing that's a little bit, I don't know, I feel a little like I don't know how to feel about his note that he put out
It's
about
long. Boy,
for,
it's very
about
detailed.
about forgiving, about forgiving. I mean, is that something a lawyer put out? Or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And to put that note out so soon,
Mhm.
I don't know.
I know there's a lot of talk that, and of course it's just talk that, well, I mean, this attorney is no joke. Okay, this
Yeah,
attorney is no joke. This is not someone that went to night school. This is not an online lawyer. This is not
correct.
someone that's going to be Googling anything. This dude knows his shit.
Yes.
And they said that this would be something that he would, he'd want to get ahead of a potential jury if it goes to trial, because they
Mm-hmm.
they may not want to spend the money on a trial. They might not be like, look, we don't feel like spending 2 million for a jury to say put her in institution. Let's
Right.
just do that and bypass all of this. So they want and they watch social media. They watch it. So they definitely want to get ahead of a jury and get this forgiveness out.
Yeah. I
And that
mean,
way they know that they're rolling real small dice when it comes
yeah.
to a jury.
Yeah. I mean, even if she even makes it,
And that's another thing too. She may not even make it.
that's
Barb
right.
Murray, thank you very much. Barb Murray said, didn't Andrea Yates follow a cult? They did have some weird religious stuff going on. That was brought up in the trial, Barb. Yep.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
That's just her. Yeah, we're going to hear from Rusty on this show.
You never know what goes on behind closed doors.
Nope. And where we are right now with this case, she faces her charges on Tuesday. Lindsay does. Lindsay Clancy is due to face charges Tuesday from her hospital bed in the killings of her 3 children in Duxbury.
Oh, okay.
But first, she'll speak to a psychologist. So she is awake.
Oh, she is awake.
She is awake, but
Wow.
still,
Okay.
what I'm hearing, just the
Yep.
most recent articles, she doesn't know that this is going on. I don't know what kind of environment she's gonna be in. Obviously, she's in the hospital.
Right.
Who's gonna tell her what's going on? You know what I
Oh, boy.
But first, she'll speak to a psychologist after her attorney spoke to the media saying she was overmedicated. Clancy was prescribed a total of 12 different medications in the 4 months before the killings, her lawyer said.
Well,
So she's going to speak with a forensic psychiatrist. I'm sure that started going down Friday, Saturday, Sunday, probably tomorrow. Then they're going to make their plea on Tuesday to the court.
my God, this is just craziness. I did not hear. See, my one of my friends works labor and delivery, and she's friends with the husband's mother. So she was basically, I'm here.
Yeah, you just cut out a little bit.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No worries
She
here.
was basically saying that they weren't sure if she was gonna wake up, and this was a few days ago to me. So, oh wow, this is a whole new ball game now.
Yeah, there was a hearing on Friday that she wasn't zoomed in or anything, but she'll have to be zoomed in, I guess, on Tuesday. As far as her being paralyzed, I don't know. Boston Globe said Clancy is unable to walk after her suicide attempt and remains hospitalized under guard. Remember that. The police are there.
Oh yes.
The police are there. Reddington, who is her attorney, told the Boston Globe that his client's suicide attempt left her unable to walk, though he declined to use the word paralyzed.
Okay.
There are stories that she is paralyzed. She will never walk again. There are stories that she can't walk because her pelvis is broken. Both seem likely to me.
Well, I heard she jumped head first.
Okay, well, good God, that'd do it. That'd
You
do
know,
it.
so we're going to hear all different kinds of things, but I figured I'd call in because I'm super close to the situation, and
Oh, I'm
you
so
know,
glad you did.
yeah, yeah. I've never called in before. This is my first time, and I'm happy to do it on your channel.
Now they've said
Yeah.
they can't find any premeditation, but they're not done with the investigation either. The investigation can go on. Well, justice works slow. Lady Justice is a slow bonbon eating Peggy Bundy sometimes.
I mean, but the thing is, to me, like premeditation. Okay, how do you find that? 25 minutes while he
Mhm,
was gone. She seemed fine to him. Okay, so say psychosis comes in, right?
mhm.
So where do you find what you needed for those babies?
In
You
other
know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh,
how?
yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you go ahead, hun. You're the guest.
Like, to me, I'm thinking, like, how do you, where are those things that you need? Like, it comes to your mind to be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I need. I need to go get it. You know what I mean?
Mhm. And in 25 minutes, he leaves.
Yes. Yes.
And Clancy, I know there's a lot of questions about why he left. Well, I mean,
He went to go pick up food.
and he also went to CVS, the attorney said.
Okay.
Clancy's husband wasn't warned against leaving her alone with the children. And whether a doctor told him, don't ever leave her alone,
Yep.
or we know that we don't follow what our doctors say anyway. If she's fine and she's acting fine, he's not going to be on house arrest. So he went to
Yes.
CVS. This CVS does not deliver. Patrick Clancy left the house on January 24th to shop at CVS and pick up takeout. Reddington told the Boston Globe. He called 911 shortly after returning home. Medical professionals hadn't warned Patrick Clancy not to leave his wife alone. And there are some cases where they say, look, we don't have a bed. We don't have an insurance clearance. We don't think she needs inpatient, but we will say this, don't leave her alone.
Can
Don't
you
leave her
can
alone.
you imagine how he is feeling?
Oh, God. Oh, God.
I mean, my God, that poor man. His whole life is gone. I so hope he pulls through and finds the strength to carry on.
Yeah. It says medical professionals hadn't warned Clancy not to leave his wife alone with their children, the defense attorney said. Not that I'm aware of. Of course not. He loved her. He knew she was a great mother, a fantastic person, Reddington told the Boston Globe. Now I'm wondering, considering it seems like the catchphrase as of late is gag order. I'm surprised with everything that was dropped on Friday. There's not a gag order, but there's not one in the Anna Walsh case either.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I'm only 20 minutes from that case.
You're our Jay on the scene. We could have you outside of all these places.
My God, I'm telling you, it's just, it's insane. Like,
And
I
the
don't even.
attorney,
Yeah.
which with permission from either Patrick or her mother, put this out. He said he told the newspaper that between last October and January, Clancy was prescribed 13 different psychiatric medications, including Ambien,
Ugh,
Klonopin,
my God.
Valium,
Oh my God.
Prozac, Lamicidil, don't know what that is, Ativan,
What?
Remeron, Seroquel, Zoloft, and Trazodone, hydroxyzine, amitriptyline, and buzaprone, which I think that's Wellbutrin.
Okay, so does it say how long she was on those prescriptions?
Nope, he dropped those bombs, and there's a lot of people that are thinking that she was on all 13 at once. Now, this was sent to me. This is a lot, man. This is a lot. Let's look at this real quick because there is something called serotonin syndrome. So, on top of the postpartum depression and the psychosis, all of these different medications combined, which I don't think she was on all 13 at once. No freaking way.
No.
But between October and January, she had been at one point on several. Because it wasn't like week 1 she was on Prozac and week 2 she was on Zoloft. She was on several of them at several
Yeah.
at once.
Yeah, I mean, she had all of them on her, in her medicine cabinet.
First, serotonin syndrome is typically caused by a drug interaction or overdose. Second, the highest risk drugs are the monoamine oxidase inhibitors, or MAOIs. MAOIs include the antidepressants tranylcypromine, phenelzine, isocarboxazid, and meclobamide, the anti-infectives linezolid and isoniazid, the Parkinson's medications solagelin and rasagiline, and the old and rarely used methylene blue. Third, serotonin syndrome is most likely to occur when 2 MAOIs are used together or when an MAOI is used with another serotonin drug. Other serotonin drugs include antidepressants, including SSRIs, SNRIs, and certain tricyclic antidepressants. Pain relievers tramadol, methadone, meperidine, and fentanyl, dextromethorphan, and chlorpheniramine, St. John's wort, L-tryptophan, and diet pills, and ecstasy, or MDMA, and cocaine. Fourth, while serotonin syndrome is most common with MAOIs, it can happen when any 2 serotonin drugs are used together, especially when one is being used at a high dose. Finally, the following drugs tend to trigger system alerts, but their mechanisms of action mean they are unlikely to cause serotonin syndrome. These include antidepressants, trazodone, mirtazapine, and amitriptyline, triptan migraine medications, antiemetics, ondansetron and metoclopramide, and other medications including lithium, buspirone, ritonavir, and amphetamine.
Okay, so basically in that short clip, what they were spouting out, what can cause this syndrome, and I'm not saying she has this syndrome, it's just been discussed. Her attorney said she was over-medicated, plus we have the postpartum psychosis. What they were spitting out from University of Waterloo are on her list. Debbie said, my friend had postpartum psychosis in 2 out of 3 births, said it was scary because she couldn't believe her own eyes and ears.
I just, again, I've never experienced it myself, but, I agree with you. Like, the fact of the matter is there are 3 babies murdered.
3 babies. And remember, you don't know what works for you. I am never going to be that person saying, don't take the pill.
No.
Do what your doctor says.
Right.
But they don't know what's going to work. I'm speaking from personal experience. I was put on something and he said, I have to see you in 6 weeks. Yeah. I have to see you in 6 weeks. I'm going to call in a small refill, but I have to see your ass in this office. And if you get any of these side effects, call me immediately. I'm going to have to call in something else because you're going to get sick from not taking it.
Yes, monitored. You're monitored.
And she had to have been monitored. Angel P, I saw you backstage. I'll put you up in just a second. She was on 13 different things. So 13 things were obviously not working.
Yes.
She killed her kids and she threw herself out of a 2nd-story window.
Yes. And I know from me, like I was on one of those medications and I did not, like, the effects started happening soon to me. And of course the red flag went up for me, contacted my doctor and immediately got off. I there's still a lot that we just don't know.
Oh, there is. And this attorney all over it. Let me tell you something right now. I'm going to be really, really surprised. And I am not in your area. That's why I want a local to tell me. How does your DA normally prosecute? Are they, I'm going to get my man or I'm going to get my woman? Or do you think that he would do a institutionalization plea and avoid a trial altogether? From what I'm reading, I see him doing a plea with this attorney. But I want to know from you.
I really can't say on this one. I really don't know. I mean, like I said, there's a lot we don't know, and we're just going to have to see how it's played out. You know, I really don't. I mean, as murder is murder, right?
Mhm. And let me tell you what, by the letter of the law, her being charged for 3 murders and all the other felonies on there, it's 100% correct. She murdered those children.
Yes.
Now here comes the defense, and we already knew where the
Yes.
defense was going to go. Let's hear from the attorney real quick. Not that he's backstage or anything. That would be awesome. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Could you imagine him popping up with you? You'd be like,
Damn.
Will defend the Duxbury mother accused of killing her 3 children, secured his first win in court today. And he revealed something which shows us how he'll defend this case, as WBZ's Beth Germano shows us.
And this family, as I said earlier, was on a road to hell, and unfortunately, they're not coming back.
A stunning development from a new attorney for...
Okay, let's hear that again, what he said. 'Cause
Yes.
this dude's no joke. I'm telling you. I've been reading everything I can get my hands on with this dude. He's no joke. I mean, if I was the DA, I'd be like, well, shit. He's been practicing law longer than I've been alive.
And this family, as I said earlier, was on a road to hell, and unfortunately, they're not coming back.
A stunning development from a new attorney for Lindsay Clancy, who claims she was over-medicated in the months before she allegedly killed her 3 children and can't be held criminally responsible, what he wants a jury to hear.
Her husband actually went to the doctor the week before and asked for help and said, you know, you're turning her into a zombie. And it was just a brutal, brutal existence that they were living.
Attorney Kevin Reddington went before a judge today seeking permission to have a forensic psychologist visit Lindsay Clancy in her hospital room, something that...
Hang on, can you guys hear the video? Rexy said she can't hear it.
I can hear it.
You can hear it? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll scoot back and I'll put myself out. Sometimes there's an echo for some people. So what he said is this family, they're going through hell, that the husband went with her to the doctor the week before and said, she's a zombie. She's a zombie. Let me see if I can do something about the volume's all the way up. I'm going to have to invest in some speakers. Here, let me go back. I want everyone to hear this. Replay queen.
Shows us.
And this family, as I said earlier, was on a road to hell, and unfortunately, they're not coming back.
A stunning development from a new attorney for Lindsay Clancy, who claims she was over-medicated in the months before she allegedly killed her 3 children and can't be held criminally responsible, what he wants a jury to hear.
Her husband actually went to the doctor the week before and asked for help and said, you know, you're turning her into a zombie. And it was just a brutal, brutal existence that they were living.
Attorney Kevin Reddington went before a judge today seeking permission to have a forensic psychologist visit Lindsay Clancy in her hospital room, something that's not allowed under Massachusetts State Police policy for a detainee for security reasons, which he disputes in this case and said she's had no contact with anyone but her attorneys.
Well, this detainee is in the ICU. She cannot move out of her bed. She's surrounded by medicated equipment, nurses, in and out constantly. There is no fear or need to fear that she's a danger.
Reddington revealed that Lindsay Clancy was with her children by herself for 20 minutes that January night, while her husband got prescriptions at a CVS and takeout, and was never told she shouldn't be left alone. He says mother and children both deserve justice.
And I like to think of this case as being justice for Lindsay as well. I don't think anyone has to be lectured about the severe, horrific loss of 3 beautiful little babies.
At a church in Duxbury today, the doors are open for 24 hours for anyone in the community to reflect on the tragedy that continues to haunt them.
I think that's a safe place, and it's my parish, so I'm part of this, not just a bystander.
The judge will allow the visit as long as a sheriff's deputy is nearby but out of earshot, and she can now call her parents. Lindsay Clancy will be arraigned by Zoom here at Plymouth District Court on Tuesday. In Plymouth, I'm Beth Germano, WBZ News.
Did learn a lot more after that court hearing today, but
Well, Paula, the lawyer who will.
Okay. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to hit the back button. That's a lot of information. So what he's saying is they're not talking about bond or anything yet. He's just saying she can't walk. She's in her hospital bed. So obviously he's not going to produce her on Tuesday. I have a feeling he's just going to plea. He's saying that he said he wants justice for her and the babies because she can't be held criminally responsible.
You know what struck me was his first comment. They were on a road to hell.
Yep. And that is not going to do any favors for Patrick. And that he's not worried about Patrick. Patrick's not going to be on trial here.
Right.
They were on the road to hell. He said Patrick went to the doctor with her the week before and said, she's a zombie. She's a zombie. Well, obviously Zombie woke up
Yes.
that night because he had to go get more pills at the CVS. They must have changed her prescription. Now, he's not saying anything.
Right.
I'm just going to guess that they changed her prescriptions.
I mean, yeah, but she would have to wean off the others. I just, if she was a zombie, why would you leave? I don't understand. I just don't know. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying anything negative towards the husband whatsoever, because obviously everything seemed fine. But like
I'm thinking, and from what I'm reading and what the attorney said, he went to the doctor with her and said, you got to do something. She's a zombie. So they had to change it up because she can't function. She's a zombie. She doesn't know where she's at.
Yeah. And this was a week before?
A week before. So they change it up. Well, suddenly Zombie is probably acting better, but then goes into psychosis when he leaves, or who knows what was going through her head.
Right.
She could have thought that he was out to kill her and the kids. I mean,
yeah, right. I mean, who knows? Who knows? This is gonna. So is this gonna be where we're gonna be able to see her arraignment?
Yes, on Tuesday. I'm going to do a show on Tuesday to cover it.
Okay.
I know a lot of people don't want to talk about this, but damn, and this community is awesome because, you don't have people coming in here.
Right. But it is, I mean, listen, aren't we allowed to be able to discuss things?
Sure. That's what we're here. That's what
you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody has their own opinion, and
I want to hear them
that's
all.
okay. Yeah.
Because I go back to this comment. Like I said, I'm not going to say the name because she's using, it looks like her government name on a YouTube comment. But anyway, she said, after my baby, I was on a pink cloud. She's on cloud 9. New mama. She's happy. She's reading the books. She's got the decorated nursery. She's going to do it up. She's going to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
And then she said, I thought these women were making this up, or they were just lazy. Then she said 6 months after, a depression sunk in.
Yeah.
I had erratic behavior that I didn't notice. She didn't know that she was acting off. Then here comes the mother-in-law and kept an eye on her 24/7 until they could get her some help.
Yeah, because it sounds to me like she knew that something wasn't right inside of her, and she asked for help. So that's what it sounds like to me, to have her mother-in-law come over and be with her. I don't know. And it's like, where's that the moment of like consciousness awareness of your own being, like, was there ever a moment of that? Like, I'm not good. I'm not feeling good. Things are still not right. And I just be aware of that.
Christine says it needs to be talked about. PPD is real. Liza said, wait, how are we going to see her arraignment? She's at the hospital. Zoom. They're going to use Zoom.
Are you going to Zoom that?
Oh, I'm not going to Zoom it. I'm just going to stream it from probably CBS Boston. The attorney will be in court, and she'll be up on a screen.
Okay. Wow. All right.
We have Rowena and Angel backstage. We have our resident nurses we're going to bring up too, and we're going to talk about lightly this montage of pills she's been on since October. Because granted, I wasn't there. I don't know Patrick. Patrick's not on the show. He's welcome to come on. But
Okay, well, I'll head out, but I'll
you're
still.
welcome to stay up. You're welcome to stay up.
Okay.
But if you'd rather be in chat, you can do that too. We're an easy bunch around here.
Yeah, maybe I'll just go into chat and listen to this discussion, and if I'd like to join in again, I'll try it.
Absolutely. You were awesome. Let's have a big round of applause for Jay, our resident local. She's our Jay on the scene. When we had the Rodney case going on, JPL, she lives in Sacramento, and we called her JPL on the scene. Now we have Jay on the scene.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. It was great. Thank you so much.
Just keep praying.
Absolutely. Because, through these conversations, if one woman or one man says, you know what? Now, not my husband, because he never thinks I'm acting right, but I also didn't just have a baby. Postpartum, we can't do everything, but says, look, she never did that shit before. Now, I understand that she's tired. I understand she's not feeling good about herself. She's complaining about baby weight and all of that stuff. But if just one person, they can get them to the ER and say, there's something wrong here, and she just had a baby. These conversations, I think, they're the reason that we've progressed to where we are now, and we can even have these conversations.
Yeah. I mean, I know my husband, he's great. Like I've actually suffered from depression, and not from having a baby, but just in general. And, my husband was aware of everything with me, what was going on. Very, very attentive. I got the help that I needed, and I'm doing well, but, yeah, I know. Well, I'm going to drop down.
Okay. We'll see you in chat.
Thank you again for having me.
Not a problem. Anytime. It was great.
Stay well.
Hello, Rowena. Hello, Angel. Isn't this crazy? I'll tell you what I would like to see. Now, any medication you can think of in this country, there's a class action lawsuit because it's had horrific effects on people. I would love to see a class action lawsuit against MetLife, Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, you name it. You name the plan. I would love to see a class action lawsuit against insurance companies that tell doctors what they can and can't do.
Amen. Amen. Don't preach it.
Yep.
The day I see that, I would love to see that shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is not the only case of a man or a woman or a child that is like, oh, I can't prescribe that because your insurance won't approve it. Or we have to get a pre-authorization for this MRI. Well, let's do something different. They won't do the MRI, so we're going to let you go on in pain for a while. Oh, now it turns out we need a damn PET scan because you got cancer.
Right.
That's what I want to see. I want to see a damn class action lawsuit against the fat cats that write the insurance checks.
Absolutely. Amen.
It's out of control.
Is they've got doctors that aren't allowed to treat people because they didn't get their certification done. It's like there's not a dumb person in medical school. My daughter-in-law is in medical school right now. But even though you get the MD or whatever, it doesn't mean they're going to let you work on people. They might say you got to go work for Blue Cross Blue Shield, or you can go into research. We're not going to let you treat people. So they have doctors. That's the reason they do those peer-to-peers. The doctor talks to the doctor. And what that doctor has to do, even though, maybe they're pissed off because they can't have their own medical practice or they can't work in the hospital. No, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? And they fight with them. I'd love to see somebody go after the damn insurance companies, just like that John Grisham book, The Rainmaker. Go after them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
And it can be the smallest. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Rowena, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
It can be the smallest of things. It doesn't have to be an MRI. I had a patient that was diabetic. She was old. she there's a thing that you can snap onto an insulin syringe. It's small, and it has like a magnifying glass, so they can draw up their insulin. Insurance wouldn't pay for it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I was in nursing school, and I went over to the. I'd say my instructor. I said, I'm sorry, I'm hoarse. I said, I'm gonna go over to the school, and I'm taking ours and giving it to this woman because the insurance won't pay for this 5-cent piece of plastic. So they're gonna pay like so when she has the overdose or of insulin. Insulin can kill you very quickly. And so, yeah, it can be the smallest of things that can be the most deadly. And they are running the show. It's absolutely asinine.
Yeah, it is. And if the insurance not only do you have to deal with that in healthcare, but if you're looking for a facility or treatment, let's say an inpatient facility for somebody with mental health, for somebody with addiction, there are no beds, especially with addiction. I've had people come in multiple times after years of abuse of drugs and dependency and say, okay, I've hit bottom. I'm ready to go. Okay, you got to call the 2 facilities that are in this whole entire area, get their name put on a waiting list, and by the time it's time that they have a bed, they usually don't want to stop. You know what I'm saying? It's too late.
And I can't say that I've ever had the problem. My doctor, he's really good, and he seems to enjoy fighting with them if there ever is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, knock on wood, knock on wood. And you just don't ever want to have the problem. You don't ever want to have the problem. And it seems like the problem is always, well, what we're talking about here. Someone needs a bed, and they're like, no, you're not that bad yet. Well, what is that bad? When you're in a hospital room under armed guard? Is that when it's that bad?
That's right. And they closed the only state facility in East Tennessee several years ago. So we had patients, because I worked with the Medicaid and TennCare back when we had different types of TennCare insurances. And, oh my God, I lost my train of thought.
The facility closed.
Yes, it closed. And there was a patient that was born there. He could not function. These are people that need to be living in a long-term care facility. They closed that state facility. They put all those people in group homes. Well, you know what happens in group homes?
Yeah.
They're not secure.
Oh, God. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awful.
I mean, you
But
can run a group home.
Go ahead.
No, you're fine.
I want to talk about that medication list.
I do too.
Right now. I'm going to put
Now-
it right now. So let me start at the beginning.
Yes.
This is the attorney, Kevin Reddington, out of Massachusetts. Like I said, he's this dude's no joke. He's armed for bear. He's ready to go. He said he told the Boston Globe that between last October, so October of 2022, not 2021, so a very short period of time, and January, when this happened, and I say this lightly, Clancy was prescribed 13 different psychiatric medications, including Ambien, Klonopin, Valium, Prozac, Lamicidil, I don't know what that is, Ativan, Reneron, I don't know what half these are. Help me out. Seroquel, Zoloft, I don't even know how to pronounce them. Buspirone, I guess, is Wellbutrin.
Mm-hmm. Well, we all know that Ambien's a sleeping pill. The first thing that popped out to me is she's on 3 different benzos, okay? Clonazepam can be used throughout the day, and it has more of a long-term effect before it kicks in for anxiety, or also it's the traditional med of choice for panic attacks with agoraphobia, okay? Now, diazepam is also a benzodiazepine, and then Ativan on top of that. We give Ativan to knock an alcoholic out when they're having DTs in the medical floors. I mean, that is insane.
Yeah. It's a wonder she breathed.
Yeah, and all of those depress the central nervous system. Now, Lamictal, Brooke, is how you say that, in a mental health situation is used as a mood stabilizer. So let's say she'd been on clonazepam, Prozac, and Lamictal. I wouldn't have thought a thing about it, okay? But Seroquel you give people Seroquel to knock them down. If we had an agitated patient pulling stuff off the walls and throwing stuff at me, we had to give them Seroquel. That's something that knocks you on your hind end.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to say to anybody in chat that's taking any of these medications, do not change a thing unless you talk to your doctor. What happened to Lindsay is not going to happen to you.
That's right.
This is her defense. There's no medical advice here. Don't do anything unless you see your doctor.
And it's dangerous when you start playing with your medication, even over the counter, like the St. James wort. That's why it's so important that you tell them, you know, your vitamins, any, you know, herbal supplements you take, because yeah, they're over the counter and they're, but they can affect your medication. They can affect you. So make sure that you tell them, you know, hey, I'm taking this herbal supplement, I'm taking this vitamin, or I'm taking St. James wort, because it really does. A lot of people are like, oh, well, it wasn't prescribed by a doctor, so I didn't say anything. So that right there, you know, so just that is some medical advice right there. Tell your doctor everything.
That's right.
That's it.
And she was put on quite a cocktail because obviously she wasn't responding to treatment.
Yeah.
Right. And the Remeron and the Trazodone, although they're classified as antidepressants, they're normally given at bedtime to help people sleep because that's one of their main side effects. They make you drowsy. So I just saw at the very bottom, too, that she was on, I think it says hydroxyzine. I can't even say it. So hydroxyzine is also used for anxiety. Amitriptyline is usually taken at bedtime for depression. And I can't read that last one. Oh, Buspar. That's I can't tell if that's Buspar or Wellbutrin. I think that's Wellbutrin.
I think it's Wellbutrin.
So she doubled up on everything.
They give Wellbutrin to people to help them quit smoking.
Yeah.
That's right. Wellbutrin by itself is a very powerful drug. A lot of people can't take that. It's a different class than like Prozac and Paxil and things like that.
Now, also, I'm sure Massachusetts does it because most states do. I think all states do. People have brought up the doctor shopping. Now, I'm looking on here. Klonopin would definitely be on a list, so she can't shop that. Ambien would be on a list, so she can't shop that. Valium, I'm assuming, is on the iStop list, so she can't shop that. Ativan is definitely on it. Seroquel's on it. So I'm assuming she was under the care of one doctor that was just throwing what he could or she could until something stuck.
Yes.
And you have to remember she was also going every day or 5 days a week to a therapy. So an all day, I want to say mental health daycare. And so they could have seen something, and they're in communication with the doctors. So we don't know, and we're not saying that she took all 13 at one time. She wouldn't breathe.
God,
so
no,
they change them up.
They basically it's really important. I'm going to point this out. Between October and January, she had been prescribed 13 different medications. So she wasn't
taking
crazy at once. Something wasn't working. And I think when they went to the doctor the week before and Patrick said, look, she's a zombie. She's a zombie. I'm at home. I'm helping with the kids, but she's a zombie. You got to help us. They changed it up. And it obviously didn't have the right effect because, well, she threw herself out a window after killing her children.
Yeah. You know, Seroquel has a lot of black box warnings, too.
Yeah.
And Lana said this is probably her OBGYN. She probably wasn't even seeing a psychiatrist.
No. Her OB wouldn't have. No, I can't see that. And plus, she would have had to be seeing a mental health provider for that daycare, for that referral. So her OB cannot, no, an OB wouldn't touch this, I'm telling you. He would be like, okay, we need bigger help. You need to take her here. I would love to know what prescription he picked up at CVS. I would love to know if, it was a change and he picked up such and such. I'd love to know that. The attorney didn't say it. Maybe it was the refill. Maybe it was like, we need to go up on such and such. Maybe, she's on these 3, that's not working. So let's bump up this one, the milligrams, the dosage, whatever. And it's like I've said, that light switch. But this is a man that wasn't laying around and didn't pay attention, didn't do everything that he could. That road from hell. Yes, they were on the fast track, and it's heartbreaking that he asked, for help. And she could have been having. Okay, he went the week before. She could have been having. I think you made a great point, Brooks. We don't know what was in her mind, but it kind of makes sense that she could have thought that he was going to kill her, that he was going to kill her babies. A lot of time, it's the people that are close to them that, they'll, that psychosis. And that's the whole big difference, is the psychosis. That everybody's allowed their
hallucinations. I mean,
yeah. It's very real. A crash cart was my patient's husband, and he was like in the CIA and going to kill her. A cart. It's like an inanimate object was her husband, and she was terrified. And it's so real.
Yeah.
And people don't control that either. They don't just go, I'm going psychotic today.
Right. No. And a lot of times they'll, it's kind of like when you're just sick with the cold or the flu, you rally all day and then you run a fever and crash at night. All kids do that. A lot of adults do that. So she could have completely been okay. I heard, and I don't know, I'm impressed with the CVS. My CVS doesn't deliver either.
Hell no. I don't even know where that came from. Now, if I want to, I guess if I'm door dashing, I can say, can you pick up some Cheetos and some cat food and some Diet Dr. Pepper? But they're not going to bring a controlled substance over.
No.
Absolutely not.
And I heard that they had called in food, and that something was up, and I experienced it here when I moved. We called in food, and the Uber driver, they couldn't get an Uber driver, and so I just can't. I can't believe that he actually thought, okay, she's psychotic. I'm gonna leave. You know what I mean? Like, and she might have been acting great. But it might have been him that she had these unrealistic whatever's in her head about him. And so she was like, I gotta get it while the getting's good. Like, I gotta escape. I'm gonna take my babies with me. He's gonna kill them. I don't know. I'm just, a lot of times that happens. But she was on a lot of medication. Yes.
Yeah, that paranoia. Yes, ma'am.
And we just don't know what was in her head that day, and we don't know what made it flick. And I just can't imagine if she is paralyzed, if her pelvis is broken and she's not paralyzed, she's in an extreme amount of pain.
Well, she had lacerations, on her arms, her neck. That 911 call, I about passed out when I heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was chilling.
Check the basement. We can't find the knife, but she has lacerations on her neck.
And Jay was so sweet, and she gave so much information. The fact that she dove head first, y'all think about that. That's not a woman that wants to live. And it's not because she murdered her children. But she did. And I think she does need to pay the price. I think she needs to pay an appropriate price. Prison is not gonna help her.
Well, what the attorney said was she's not criminally responsible.
Exactly.
And if
go ahead.
No, you
go. Okay, I was just gonna say, back to what you were saying earlier. I hope that husband does sue the insurance company.
Me too.
I really do. Because it sounds like, and I don't know everything, and I'm not making excuses, but it sounds like that they were doing everything that he was doing, everything that he could to take care of her and the kids and the husband and monitor her. And they were, and sometimes that happens. People desperately do everything right, and then something like this happens. It's
Mhm.
not common, but it does happen.
Yeah.
She may not ever remember. She may not ever snap out of this.
And,
That's a thing.
and
She may not
that
ever.
that could be her brain too protecting her. It's too much, it's too much to, it's just everybody would just be kind. And I've seen it, not in here, but and everybody's entitled to their opinion, everybody, and that's great. But you can also show some empathy, you know, um, just show a little empathy. This is a medical condition. It's not criminal. Yes, she's been charged with murder because she did murder her children.
She
But
did.
that right, but that doesn't. Okay, there's another victim. There's a fourth victim. Her. She was a victim of herself. So, and her mind and her doctors. And I used to work for United Healthcare for 4 years when I left the hospital, and I was a case manager for high risk pregnant women. And yeah, even working for them, even being a client, the insurance companies, every single stinking one of them, uh, drug companies, I'm not even going to get started on that, but they need
Mm-mm.
to stop it.
Well,
They need to let,
a lot of these class action lawsuits get stopped in their tracks because a majority of the people that start the class action were denied another medication and
yep,
had to go on that one.
Mm-hmm.
See, the
and it can,
circle is terrible between what the doctor wants for the patient, what the insurance company. I'm glad I've never had to go through it. That's all I can say.
even medication. Okay, perfect example. Synthroid. Okay, that's if you have thyroid, you need
Oh
extra
boy.
thyroid. Okay, well, there's a generic out. Well, it
Mm-hmm.
has been shown and shown and shown. The generic ain't working. I mean, it's just not. And a lot of generic medications, that's great. The generic's not working. So then you have patients that, that they're having to go up and up and up and up because the insurance won't pay for the medication that has been out since God was a boy.
Mm-hmm.
It's sickening. It's absolutely
Not
sickening.
only that, too, Rowena, a lot of times they want these patients to try old
Oh yeah.
medication that
Yep.
has severe side effects, like
Exactly.
Haldol,
I'm shocked she wasn't on
Thorazine.
Haldol. I was
Mm-hmm.
waiting for Haldol to be read off. I was shocked she wasn't on Haldol. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean that would have just tipped the whole friggin' scale, But it's well, y'all know how I feel about it. But
Well,
if you go into another
mm-hmm.
channel, just everybody here does, but don't fight with these people. Everybody's allowed to have their opinion. It might be done to you, but that's okay. But don't fight because then you there anyway. There just don't fight. And the best thing that I got a DM from somebody, and it was like how to broach the subject, of depression. How do I talk to my friend about this? How do I start the conversation? And she hadn't, it wasn't postpartum or anything. And so if anything, this gets people to talking. But keep an open mind because I've seen some just horrible, horrible comments and people saying things. And even channel creators, I'm like, oh gracious, uh, by the grace of God, more people
Well,
don't
that's
do
how they
this.
want to handle their channel. I mean, we handle things different.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, just when you're in there, just don't fight.
And if they want to have a throwdown, that's on that channel creator. That's whatever they want to do. Some people encourage that. Some people
Right.
encourage it. I mean, unless 20
Yeah.
people get kicked out and they don't get a million nasty emails after, they don't consider
Yeah.
it a good show.
Yeah,
Now,
but just don't feed into that. Just if you can say your piece and and then you can always X out. But I've seen some people just really get attacked, and then other people come back, and it's just a mess, and so nothing really gets solved. So just keep an open mind. Know that she's sick.
Well, I know
Mental
in the true
illness.
crime community, it seems to be split down the middle. There are
It
people
does.
like she's not criminally responsible, and then there's people saying, of course she is. And I want everyone to have their opinion. And
Yeah.
that's why we have these talks here. Like R&R said, drama brings views. They can save the drama for their mama. We don't
Right.
do that here. But the other channel, I don't care what they do. I don't care what
Just be respectful wherever you are, just like you are to Brooks in here. That's just, because you never know what people are going through and what they say. But I've got to go. My best friend's here. And
Oh, Rowena, well, you have a good girls' day.
oh yeah, she flew in Wednesday. We went to a Mardi Gras parade. She'd never been to one yesterday, so it
Wow,
was fun.
That's
It
great.
was fun. So that's why I sound like a man. But I love you all, and thank you, Angel. Thank you, Jay. God bless you, Brooks. I'm so glad that this community is as open minded and good and feels safe that you can say something. So that's a hope. If anybody, just watch your people. Just watch. If you notice something different, and it does not have to be after you have a baby. It doesn't. So but I'm gonna step down, and I
Well,
will
you
talk
have
to y'all later. All right, y'all have a good day. I'll be listening, so I just don't want her to come in here and start cussing. Y'all have a good day. Hi, we're about to have some mimosas, so it's a whole thing. So, all right, well, I'll be listening. So, God bless y'all all, and be safe and be kind, and I'll talk to you later. Talk to you later, Angel. Bye.
Thank you.
Have fun,
Rowena.
Rowena. All right, I want to look at this clip real quick. Again, all the medications that they have listed, and those are the ones that the attorney knows of. Remember, that is, unless he has all her medical records, from what I'm understanding, this is from October to January, and no, she wasn't on all 13 at once. So it's crazy. Let's look at this clip real quick, and then old Rusty Yates has come out of hiding, and he's talking about what he went through with Andrea. So we're going to look at that too. Hang on.
Tragedy in Massachusetts where a former Connecticut woman, Lindsay Clancy, is accused of killing her 3 children, and it's bringing a lot of attention to mental health. A candlelight vigil was held last night for the Clancy family. Police say she strangled her 3 children before trying to take her own life on Tuesday. It was reported she was allegedly struggling with postpartum psychosis, a serious condition that can cause delusions and hallucinations. She was on leave from her job as a nurse at Mass General. Joining us now with more on this condition is Dr. Helen Bradshaw, attending psychiatrist at the Institute of Living. Dr. Bradshaw, thank you so much for being with us.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
So many women go through a lot after having a baby, anything from postpartum depression to postpartum anxiety and a host of other things. What exactly is postpartum psychosis, and how does it differ from those other ailments?
Absolutely. So postpartum psychosis can come on pretty abruptly during the postpartum period. And it differs from those other disorders where there are more depressive symptoms in that, like you said, it has these psychotic features, delusions, paranoia. Women can have frightening beliefs about wanting to harm their children. Thankfully, it is fairly uncommon, occurring in about 1 in 500 births. And I would contrast that with postpartum depression, which occurs typically in 1 in 7 women during the postpartum period, considerably more common. Additionally, it is very common to experience some amount of depression symptoms in the postpartum period. The majority of women do experience some baby blues following their delivery.
Dr. Bradshaw, what do you think are the main warning signs that people should be looking out for here? There are unverified reports that this woman was maybe seeking treatment 5 days a week, her husband even possibly working from home to watch over her. What are the biggest signs that you should look out for?
Yeah, absolutely. Changes in mood is very important. Sadness, numbness, changes in sleep, having difficulty sleeping or not really needing to sleep. Women can experience having difficulty in finding enjoyment in things that they typically enjoy, or having ideas about feeling disparaging toward yourself, like I'm a bad mother. Those are really warning signs.
Apparently, the father in this. Sorry, you continue.
Oh, excuse me. I was going to say all women should absolutely be screened during pregnancy and during the postpartum period.
So you can be screened for it. That is good to know.
Absolutely.
The father here apparently just left the house for 25 minutes just to go get food. Is something like this can happen in that short amount of time?
If she's in a very difficult state, severely ill, it is a medical emergency. And if you're ever worried about safety, it's really important to go to the emergency room.
How do you treat these patients? What are the best resources and treatments out there for them? It's so important that we're talking about this because often it's something that maybe is only talked about behind closed doors.
Yeah, and reminding ourselves that it is so common. The majority of women are going to have some degree of symptoms. So reaching out for help to recognize if you're, could we relieve some of those symptoms? Or are you in a group that we're really worried about your safety? And we have treatments, both pharmacological and non-pharmacological. And these illnesses can feel overwhelming, but they are treatable. We have, and the medicines that we have, they are compatible with pregnancy and with breastfeeding.
All right, a lot of good information on just what is a horrible tragedy. Dr. Helen Bradshaw attending.
Okay, so it comes on at once. That goes along with a couple of comments I had. It's abrupt. Tigress said people think there is real murder, then excusable murder. That's not how it works. Exactly. There is no excuse, the way the law is written, for murder. Well, I mean, it's not murder if you're defending yourself or your home, depending on what state you live in. But no, the discussion is, are you criminally responsible for this murder? Did this psychosis contribute to what happened? I think from where we're sitting right now, it definitely played a huge part in what happened. If you look at the case of Cash Gernon, the man that killed him is in an institution. He cannot be criminally considered responsible, and he's a man. Obviously, we're talking about a woman here. So now maybe one day he will come to, and he'll be able to participate in his own defense. Doesn't look promising, but I did see a comment about gender bias on this channel. No, but men can't get postpartum. They don't have babies. Angel, you're muted.
Yes, I am. I'm very much listening to you. No, it's not. It's not. Has nothing to do with that. She kind of just went over. I mean, she went over the same kinds of things that we've been talking about since we started talking about this case. How it can have an abrupt onset, and some of the symptoms that we talked about on the last show that we had. I personally think that what's going to happen, and this is just my opinion, is that she's going to be committed to a long-term psychiatric medical facility, prison type thing. I don't know. I don't think that prison or jail is the right place for her, and that's just my opinion.
No, and for me, it doesn't have anything to do with her social status or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. It's not discriminatory, just like mental illness is not.
No.
It can affect anybody, any age, any status. Doesn't matter. You can be a doctor, you can be a nurse, you can be a scientist. Does it have anything to do with how intelligent you are? You can get mental illness. And you know, sometimes, go ahead.
This mental illness would be different because it is postpartum after having a baby. Because, like I said at the beginning of the show, the jails are full of people with childhood trauma. The jails are full of mentally ill people. So the argument is, then why does this mentally ill person go to an institution and not a jail? That's where her attorney comes in and says the onslaught of the postpartum depression and psychosis and the over medication by her doctors makes her criminally not responsible. She needs to be institutionalized and not put in a jail. That's the difference.
Yes. And if and when, you know, her mind clears up, she's going to be living in complete hell and agony, I mean, for the rest of her life after she realizes what has happened. That's jail to me. I don't know. I'm not trying to make excuses for her. I'm afraid some people think I'm making excuses for her, but I'm not. I'm not trying to make excuses.
Tiger says she'll be treated until she can stand trial. I think, this is just my opinion, I don't think it's going to go to trial. I just don't. It is a highly publicized case. I mean, we're talking about it right here. I'm nowhere near Massachusetts. You aren't, Angel. And I mean, trials are expensive. DAs like to keep their jobs. And they wouldn't want to spend, let's say, $2 million on a trial for the jury to say, no, she's not guilty of first-degree murder or second-degree murder or even manslaughter, because she was on 13 different medications in that 4 months leading up to. And I'm listening to the experts that this very high paid attorney has put in front of me that's explaining postpartum psychosis to me. I mean, you know, you're talking about a jury of 12. It takes one. It takes one.
Yeah.
It just takes one to say, no, she's not criminally responsible. It just takes one. I mean, look at this chat. You have some people saying firing squad, and you have some people saying, no, she needs to be institutionalized. It just takes one.
And I want to make sure that anybody that's listening, if you're on any of those medications or any medications for mental health, please don't stop them. Please don't get scared. Don't ever change your medication unless you talk with your doctor first. Please.
Oh, no. No, I can't make it even any more clear that this is not a medical show. JDR said, this reminds me of the Andrea Yates case. Yep. What really has always made me so mad about the Andrea Yates case, besides the obvious, is that her doctor warned them. Andrea, who was also a nurse, much like Lindsay, and Rusty, her husband, he's an intelligent man. I think he worked for NASA. He's not an idiot. Was warned because she had postpartum with all of their children. And he said, stop having kids. Don't have any more kids. If this turns into a psychosis, she can kill herself. She can kill you, Rusty. She can. And they kept having kids. Now, from what I'm understanding about Lindsay, she never had these symptoms with the first two. Several people have said, well, why'd she keep having kids? She's going to keep having, she didn't have any problems with the first two. So, Rusty was on News Nation the other night. And he weighs in about what he went through with Andrea. Let's look at that real quick. And Andrea is still in an institution. She comes up for parole, whatever they call it in an institution. And I don't know how this goes down, but she chooses to stay. I don't know how you can choose to stay, but she chooses to stay. That's how it's worded. Like I said, I don't know how you can just choose to stay. And Tigress said Andrea Yates has all kinds of diagnosis. Yep, that's something to be added too. And with Lindsay, this just happened January 24th. So we don't know what else is going to come out.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right.
There could be more and more that comes out.
Andrea Yates, 22 years ago. Never forget this case. It was the first time that I had really seen the idea of postpartum depression and psychosis come to play in the criminal justice system. It led Yates to drown her 5 children, one by one after the other, in the bathtub. As remarkable as the legal theory was the human component. Her then husband, Rusty, said he forgave her. The case brought national attention and support to hundreds of thousands of women who suffer in the hopes of, never allowing a tragedy like Yates to happen again. But of course it did. Just last week, a young Massachusetts mom who's also a midwife, her name is Lindsay Clancy. She allegedly strangled her 3 young kids to death. Clancy also suffered from extreme postpartum depression. Mothers do not kill their children.
Okay. Tigress had a point. She said just the media is saying that she has this postpartum depression. Lindsay spoke about her struggles with postpartum depression on her Facebook page. Those posts are being shared by people that were friends with her on Facebook. The attorney, of course, is alluding to it, and several family members have spoke that she was getting help for this.
And that is a big part that feeds into the understanding even legally. Her husband, like Rusty, says he forgives her for killing their kids. How? It's so hard to understand, and that's why I wanted you to hear from somebody who lived it. Former husband of Andrea Yates, Russell Yates. It's good to have you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
First.
Okay, before we hear from Rusty and Chris Cuomo, can you guys hear okay? Or is there an echo or anything?
I'm good.
Okay.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Life goes on. I'm married again and not married anymore. We had a son. He's 14 now, and such a joy. Very happy. Very proud of him.
What did you think, Rusty, when you heard about this case?
Yeah, it sounds similar. I mean, anytime I hear of a case like this, I get a little sad because, I had hoped that, we'd have less and less, but realistically, I mean, it's a sickness. People get sick. It happens. It's sad.
Well, that is a lot to digest given what you had to suffer through. What do you want people to understand about why you were able to forgive, and what people need to understand, not about your judgment, but about what we're talking about when we talk about postpartum depression and what it does to somebody?
Yeah, I mean, a psychiatrist or psychologist could explain it, but basically the way I understand it is it's much like having a dream or nightmare overlaid on reality, so that, a person sees things that aren't real, hears voices that aren't real, believes things to be true that aren't true, and they act on that. I mean, it's every bit as part of their reality, as anything else. So they can't distinguish, between those thoughts and those images and those voices and anything else. So that's real. And then they act.
I remember you at the time.
Reality. So
I remember you at the time and going back and reviewing the case, that you kept saying that Andrea loved her kids, that she did everything she could for her kids, and that there was never any way that anything would ever make you believe anything but that. So there had to be another explanation other than evil or other than malice or anything that goes into murdering, because Andrea wasn't capable of that. Have you always remained ironclad in your belief that that's the case?
100%. Yeah, I mean, Andrea was a wonderful mother. You know, I think when someone acts so out of character like that, it's kind of a flag, you know, that there's something else going on. And, you know, as far as forgiveness goes, I think that's kind of the start. Like you said, if something's completely out of character, this can't be right. What else is there, you know? And then I realized, okay, you know, at the time I did not know that she'd been psychotic. I did not know what psychosis even was or what the symptoms were. And, you know, like in this case, you know, you can do all you can at home, but you really can't protect yourself from a psychotic person at home. I mean, they get up in the middle of the night and, you know, light the house on fire or poison everyone or who knows, you know. It's so, you know, as far as the next step of forgiveness, I'd say is understanding it's a sickness, you know, that but for, you know, that causation, right, but for her sickness, she would never, ever, ever, ever have harmed our children. I mean,
hey, thank you for watching. Please go.
Rusty's a freaking flag for me. God, never ever would hurt her. Well, she did. Well, she did, and you were warned by other doctors. Now, in this case, they're already getting. I've just noticed that the attorney is getting ahead of these questions. He's prepared. He's prepared. Social media, love it or hate it, helps defense attorneys immensely. Immensely. They can easily go to comment sections in articles, Facebook groups, Twitter, Reddit, you name it. They can kind of get the pulse of what people are thinking, and they can get ahead of it. He's already ahead of this. He's already saying, no, of course her husband wasn't told by the doctor to not leave her alone. Of course not. 13 different medications. She was over-medicated. He's ready. I guarantee he already has a jury consultant that if the DA says, nope, we're going to take this to trial, sorry, I'm going by the letter of the law. The letter of the law says she murdered 3 children. Sorry, that's what it says. We're going to trial. He's already going to have, we're talking $1 million defense here. He's already going to have a jury consultant that's going to watch every person from the waiting room to when they have to be interviewed to be on the jury. And that's how it goes. And a lot of that, I mean, I'm guilty. I mean, I'm talking about this right now. They can kind of get the idea of how people would, what they're thinking. So this is going to be tough. This is going to be tough because you have, it's half and half. And like Tiger said, Susan Smith was depressed and suicidal. She wasn't postpartum, though. She was depressed. She was suicidal, but her defense attorney didn't exactly hone that in with the jury. He didn't hone that in with the jury at all because it was allowed for all her other stuff. They were trying to blame everything on her childhood more than what she had going on right then. It comes down to what's their defense going to be and what's a jury going to buy.
Yes, absolutely. It's a bad situation. I feel really bad and I'm very empathetic. So I just feel really bad about it. And I wanted to tell y'all something. You know, these insurance companies, whether you're talking about meds or going into the hospital, you know, they do the stuff that we've talked about to save money, obviously. And they make your doctor go through all these hoops, and they make your family and yourself go through all these hoops and things to get what you need. But there's a lot of power in calling your insurance company yourself. If you know that, you know, you can call them yourself, let them know what's going on. And depending on what you say, that works a lot faster sometimes because they want you to give up.
Mm-hmm.
I took a brief stint from nursing and worked at Caremark for about a few months. Caremark is a pharmacy manager for CVS. Okay. The people that answer those phones and deal with your medication stuff from the pharmacy are not medically trained. They have 2 screens on their computer. One is what's going on, and one is like a predetermined, what would you call it? Like a manifest if they have to have this, 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 and this. Okay, I couldn't stand working there, so I stopped. But it gave me a lot of clues as to how they work. For example, I was put on an antidepressant at one time in my life named Prestige. I changed jobs. I had to have a PA on it because it was a newer antidepressant at the time. It's been years ago. I had to have a PA, so we got a PA for a year. They usually give them for a year. So I changed insurance companies because of my job. And here I've been on this medication for weeks, and it takes 4 to 6 weeks to get a therapeutic blood level. The new insurance company denied it, saying, nope, you got to have a PA. Well, I knew that's how they work, so I called Caremark myself. This was after I'd worked there. And I basically said, I know what you're doing. I've had a PA on this for a long time. I've been on this medicine for several months. If anything happens to me, you're going to be liable. Now, that's just the way I am. I got the medicine approved within an hour. The pharmacy called me and said, your medicine's approved. You've got to stick up for yourself. I'm sorry, I'll get off my soapbox.
No, you're exactly right. No, because what they're saying is her insurance company denied the inpatient, and maybe she was calling every day. I don't know. Maybe
we don't know.
Maybe he what? Maybe not her. Maybe he was calling every day.
Yep.
And Tigress said, this is the problem. It's like people are saying there's depression that's important and PPD, which is all depression's important. All medical conditions are important. Now, the Susan Smith argument came up, and I get it, just like the Letitia argument has come up, the Leilani argument has come up. These women committed premeditated murder and tried to cover it up. That's where your depression doesn't matter to people. You are criminally responsible. Now, if you are in a state of psychosis, whether it's because of postpartum depression or whatever, and you try to kill yourself on top of it, that's a totally different story than what these women did.
Yes.
I mean, Letitia had Gannon in a suitcase and took him to Florida and dumped him, hoping an alligator would eat his remains. That is a different. Was she depressed? You damn right. Was she looking for another man? You damn right. Did she hate her husband? You damn right. Susan Smith, she set up a carjacking. Hell, there was almost a race war in that town because she said a black man carjacked her. Then finally she had to give it up because this guy from the FBI was telling her, nobody's buying it. We know you had a bad childhood. We know you were molested by your stepfather. We know you were trying to sleep with your father-in-law. We know all this. But you committed premeditated murder. That is different.
Yes.
Leilani, I know from the beginning it came out. They said, look, she just had a baby in June. She's postpartum. I was ready for it to all start coming out. And now here we are. She put him in a dumpster. She beat him with an object. She didn't harm a hair on her own head. And she tried to say Bubba did it. She tried to say Danny did it. She tried to say that the door was left open and he could have gotten in the pool. We heard a bathtub story. So even though she said she has no recollection, she damn sure had a lot of stories to cover up for what she did.
Yes.
As we haven't heard from Lindsay. She tried to kill herself. So we're probably not going to ever hear from her.
And most people with mental illness actually try to harm themselves before they do others. So I want to make sure that we all understand that too. You know, there's different diagnoses that have different symptoms and problems, such as schizophrenia and stuff like that, where you can go and be psychotic. But there's a big difference. I mean, again, you've got the thyroid not working right in these women that have postpartum depression. The brain chemicals aren't working right. you know, and all of that gets out of balance, it really does cause a brain disease.
And the question is, by the letter of the law, she committed murder. What
Yes.
degree of murder is the question? What degree of murder? Is she criminally responsible or not? She's not going to walk out of that hospital. They're not going to give her a hip replacement and her walk out to go meet a new dude and have 3 more children. That's not going to happen. Will she go to an institution, or will she go to the jail where she gets 23 hours in a cell? You know, what is it? Tiger said, who confirmed postpartum besides the media? She herself did. She spoke on her Facebook that that's what she was getting treatment for. She confirmed it herself. But I do agree, the media got a hold of this really quick, but that is through social media. People that know Lindsay and that know that that's what she was seeking treatment for.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really sad. We had a bipolar patient come in one time that was psychotic, and he was very euphoric, and he was very manic, and we tried to get him to go to the hospital, which that's another problem, as you know, is there's no way to make people go to the hospital, it seems nowadays. It takes an act of Congress. And this lady, I lost my train of thought again, Brooke. I just forgot where I was going with that. My dog's distracted me. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. I do it all the time.
I think I was going to talk about the psychosis. Like, you know, you can't. One time when I was in nursing school, this was way back in the 80s, part of our training in mental health was to listen to these headphones. And these headphones were mimicking what it's like in the brain of someone who is psychotic. And what they wanted you to do was answer questions with your teacher sitting there and tell her certain information while you were listening to all that stuff in your head. And you would be surprised how difficult it is to carry on a conversation with all of those things in your head. You're not worthy. You need to do this. They're going to kill you. I mean, command hallucinations. I mean, it's very interesting. If nobody's ever heard that before, I think you can look that up.
Well, and the argument also is, you know, she's a nurse. She would know, but she's not a doctor, and she was seeking a doctor's. She didn't deliver her own baby either. You know,
And nurses are humans too.
And that was kind of the argument with Andrea Yates as well. They said, well, she had medical training. How did she not know? If you are if you're in a mental state, how would you know? I mean, it's like this comment right here. Like I said, I'm not going to say the name. After my baby, I was on a pink cloud and thought these women were making this up or just lazy. Then months after birth, 6 months after birth, depression sunk in. I had erratic behavior that I didn't notice. So if you don't notice your own behavior, if you don't notice that that your behavior is way off and way out of your personality and people are worried about you, if you don't notice, then you can't treat yourself.
Correct. You know, I smoke cigarettes, and I'm not proud of that. I've been trying to quit since 2018. And I would have people say, I can't believe you smoke. You're a nurse. I could go take care of someone with lung cancer, and I was still smoking. Okay, so my point is that nurses are humans. They make mistakes. They're not held to, I mean, people maybe hold them to a higher standard, but just because you're a nurse, you're a human being first. You can still have problems just like everybody else. That educational factor does not substitute for what you're personally going through. It doesn't.
No, and she can't treat herself. She can't prescribe to herself. I mean, doctors can't even prescribe to themselves. And when I don't know where they said the kids were in the basement, and I keep hearing that they were hung. I don't see how in 25 minutes, how could she even tie a knot, cut the ropes and all that stuff? I've heard that's a rumor though.
Yeah, that's a rumor that I've heard also. I don't think that's been confirmed. because they said strangled to death.
They were strangled, yeah, but you know how things go where
Yeah.
and we're just all trying to understand. I mean, my goodness, these three babies. And that's what's the most important. What the courts do with her, that's up to the courts, you know? That's between the judge. If it makes it to a jury, I don't. Do you guys think this will actually go to trial, or do you think they will settle this in the meeting room? For some reason, I think it's never going to make it to trial.
I don't either.
Horrible, horrible. Well, and what's most important, let's look at this. The children were laid to rest.
Mm.
And if you guys need to get out, I totally understand. I don't want anybody ever leaving this show upset. Tiger said assault and battery with a deadly weapon besides the murder charges. And there's a lot of people that are like that. They're like, I don't care. They're like, cry me a river. Cry me a river.
Mm-hmm.
Pointer Lover says, I don't think it'll go to trial. Considering the reputation of this attorney and, like I said, social media, when they see, in their area, it's split down the middle right now. It's so split. Like I said, you have people saying, no, murder's murder, forget it. And then you have people saying, she murdered him, but I don't think she was in her right mind. She can't be held criminally responsible between the fact of being under a doctor's care, postpartum, psychosis. It's just horrible.
Did learn a lot more after that court hearing today, but it was an especially difficult day for the family as they said goodbye to 3 young children.
It was a beautiful funeral mass, but it's very, very difficult.
Father Bob Dean says the funeral for the 3 children Friday morning was emotional. He read the eulogy written by the children's father,
showing the beautiful relationship he had with each child and brought out their personality and the dynamic between himself and the child. And it was beautiful.
All day Friday through the night and into Saturday, Father Dean has opened the doors of Holy Family Church in Duxbury, allowing people to come in to reflect and pray. Meanwhile, in court, Lindsay Clancy's attorney convinced a judge to allow her to call her parents and talk with a psychologist from the hospital where she's still under police guard. He says Lindsay was over-medicated, taking a dozen different antidepressants when she allegedly killed her 3 children and then tried to take her own life.
Her husband actually went to the doctor the week before and asked for help and said, you're turning her into a zombie.
Prosecutors say Lindsay's condition is improving as she's now able to communicate and move her arms and legs. Her pastor says parishioners at her church have shown compassion and empathy for the entire Clancy family.
She'll need a lot of support and prayer, and that's why we're praying for healing for her particularly.
Okay, and a news clip like that is going to be seen by the district attorney who's going to say, well, it's going to be hard to find a jury that wants to lock her up and throw away the key. Jamie, so he came back upstairs and called the EMT. My understanding is when he pulled in the driveway and was getting out of the car, that he didn't put his car in the garage. He parked in the driveway, which I guess is where he normally parks. He saw something on the lawn, which turned out to be her, and he called from his cell phone. And they were there really fast, and it was the first responders that were checking the house. I don't know if he couldn't find his children was the problem. I've heard several stories, and they realized the kids were in the basement.
Mm.
It's absolutely horrific.
It is.
I mean, any way you slice it up, it's horrific. It's horrific. It's horrific. I don't even know what else to say.
No. It's all very tragic and horrific.
And if, oh, by the way, it needs to be noted on that last clip saying that she can move her legs. So she's obviously not paralyzed. She just can't walk. I'm assuming some broken bones, which that's not cool. Kind of hard to walk with a broken pelvis and whatever else they say she has going on. So we can toss that about her being paralyzed. So the attorney got it to where she can call and talk to her parents. Interesting, they didn't say her husband. I think Patrick's done with that rodeo. Patrick's not can't patch that up. He says he wants everyone to forgive her. A lot of people are saying I think that's a legal tactic. Well, you know what? He didn't have to put anything out about forgiving her at all. And this amount of money that's been raised right now, it's over $1 million for sure.
Wow.
And they're going to need that because this attorney is not cheap. He's not cheap at all.
Mm-mm. Goodness gracious. It's just a sad story. And, I hope that everybody has more awareness with us talking about it and stuff, because it doesn't happen very often, but it has happened. And just like with Andrea and Susan Smith, we talk about it and we're shocked by it and we're horrified about it. And then I think sometimes we don't even think about it after a while, and this is something that could happen to anybody, even though it's rare. So like Rowena was talking about, just check in with your people and be aware of, what their baseline normal behavior is.
Yeah, people that obviously that you would know well and you would know. So like if your daughter has a baby and a few months after having the baby or a few weeks after having the baby, you're like, I'm gonna have to take her to the doctor. She's not normally like this. Obviously your wife, daughter-in-law, granddaughter, girl at church, I don't know. It's just, to think that she's under a doctor's care. He says a week before, look, she's a zombie. So they obviously said, don't take that anymore. Take this and this instead. And then goes into psychosis. Let me tell you something. Had she not thrown herself out the window to kill herself, we wouldn't be having a postpartum discussion right now. I would be the one screaming, bullshit. I don't want to hear it. I don't even want to hear about her psychosis. But it seems a little different to me because that's pretty damn extreme when you dive head first out of a second-story window. And nobody around them thinks these things are going to happen. I wouldn't think anything of it. Of course, I'm kind of used to my crew being a little off.
Well, thanks, Brooks, for letting me come up. I think I'm going to hop down now and listen to the rest of the show.
All right. Well, you're hopping off at the right point because I'm getting ready to shut it down. That's all I got.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for everything you're doing. Thanks to everybody for listening.
Thank you, Angel. Great points, great topics.
Thank you, Brooks. You're the best. Bye-bye.
You're the best. Thank you so much. Love having Angel up. Love having Rowena up. We got to talk with Jay this morning, her first time on panel. Jamie said nope. What are you saying nope to, Jamie? What you saying nope to? Where I said that it would be a different story had she not jumped out the window? Well, hell yeah. Hell yeah. When the article came out and I see this about 2 children, because the third child hadn't died yet. Horrible. And I was like, what the hell? And then I hear she tried to kill herself. I was like, oh boy. Not good. This is not good at all. But you know what, guys? I love how we get in here and we discuss these things, whether we see eye to eye on it or not. For me, I want to know what they're going to do. Are they going to charge her criminally or not? Or are they going to say, look, let's do a plea. We're going to give her this plea. She's going to get institutionalized. When she can contribute to her own defense, then she's going to go to trial because she murdered 3 children. Or is it going to be institutionalized for life or institutionalized for 20 years? I don't know. I know most states, the way they're doing it now is murder. And once they get to where they can participate in their own defense, then they go to jail. So we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. I do know that she's going to court on Tuesday, so we'll be talking about that. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central Time, since there's no ICE, thank God. Thank God. We're going to be covering Michael Vaughn, still missing out of Idaho. Some more things have come out in that case. That is tomorrow. Consider becoming a member. We do have a Super Bowl show that we're going to be doing. You know who I'm rooting for, and it'll just be great fun. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Get ready for Monday, and I'll see you back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. Mod Squad, can't do it without you, and you guys are the absolute best. I say it all the time, and I mean it all the time. Absolute best community, best chat on YouTube.
you